Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Ocran, welcoming you to Ghana's most inspirational show and the place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So today we are back in our conversation about exploring untapped resources or untapped potential. We've been looking at how to inspire young people into entrepreneurship. But today we tell an even more compelling story, the untold story of persons with disability. Before I introduce my guest, great friend of Comfort and I, let me give you a few tips from the fact sheet on persons with disabilities. So according to the WHO, around 15% of the world's population, an estimated 1 billion people, live with disabilities. So they call them officially the world's largest minority. This figure is increasing through population growth, medical advances, and the aging process, says the WHO. From the disabled world, we learned that in countries with life expectancy over 70 years, individuals spend on average 8 years or 11.5% of their lives living with disabilities. Let me go back to the WHO that says 80% of persons with disabilities live in developing countries. Now let me cross over to another report from the disabled world that says women with disabilities are recognized to be multiply disadvantaged, experiencing exclusion on account of their gender and also of their disability. These are themes that we rarely explore enough in our conversations as we explore how to build a great and a strong nation. But I have a very strong woman in the studio today to help us unpack this subject and help us to appreciate what we rarely know enough about concerning persons with disability. Becky Nunoo is a disability inclusion advisor at the Ghana Federation for the Disabled. She has a passion for advocacy, extensive experience in training, and a dedication to mentorship. Her educational background is in marketing, business management, and business administration. But we love her for her passion for persons with disability and her ability to articulate the issues well enough for all of us to learn and be inspired. Becky, good to see you as always.
Good to see you too, Albert.
Thanks for making time to join us in this conversation.
Pleasure is all mine.
Right. So let's start from your own journey and your own journey of dealing with disability and how it has influenced your perspective on life.
Okay, thank you, Albert. I will start by saying, growing up as a person with disability, I had the privilege of having educated parents who supported me through my education. And so I had my basic education all through the secondary education. I always want to mention my secondary education because it is the best in Ghana.
Oh, yeah.
At Mishafata Girls Secondary School.
My sister went there.
Oh, that's good to know. Then I proceeded to the tertiary where I pursued marketing. Then job search became another step I had to cross. In my search for a job, it wasn't easy. I would say it was more of the perception people have with regards to disability. Because I did attend interview, performed very well. You know, when you do well, you know yourself, this work is for me. But then again, the result comes and you are not called. You follow up and the excuses, oh, you were good, but they are not able to explain better. Then the decision came I had to still further because my understanding was, well, let me further myself so that I can have an upper hand next time. Because I was always thinking, maybe it's the qualification that is not giving me that upper hand. So let me continue furthering myself so that at least my education and my qualification would be above those, and that would maybe give me, because my mind had still not registered on the disability, because they were also not bold enough to say it is the disability. Going to take you back, right after tertiary, all through tertiary, I had not come to terms with my disability. And so I was always thinking, I'm just like any other person.
Which is true.
Yes, it is true. I'll get to a point where I will let you know accepting the disability is more beneficial and more advantageous than denying it.
Okay. Educate us.
Yes. So before then, I was like, I can do everything like everybody. I am a person with physical disability. And when we talk of physical disability, we mean those whose disability can be seen. In my case, I work with the aid of a crutches, an elbow crutch. Yeah, that is my disability.
Okay.
Yeah. And I limp slightly on my left leg. Yeah, so I wear a caliper to support my movement.
Okay.
Yeah. So fast forward, I was still looking for job, not getting, furthering the education. That's how come marketing came in, administration came in, management came in.
Okay.
Just so I can
So where did you do the tertiary?
I did UCC, University of Cape Coast.
Okay. So you started from
Started from Sekendi Takrady.
to Cape Coast.
Went to Takrady Technical University to do marketing.
Okay.
Then from there, and even before proceeding, after marketing was my first course I did at the tertiary. And I did the marketing with the mindset that at that time, marketing was the new thing. And I could speak very well. Reverend, I can bet you, I can convince you right now if I'm holding a product in my hand.
To buy it.
To buy.
I believe
and
it.
So I saw that the passion for marketing is there, and I can do it with just a few tips on my hands. I can market and I will be good. I went to do my internship, and I wouldn't want to mention the name of the company, but well, the person meant well. Sat me down and was like, Becky, you are good. No two ways about that. But marketing and your disability, I would advise you do accounting. Because marketing, you would have to be moving up and down. And that wouldn't help you. But with accounting, you are just seated. I listened because I knew he was coming from a good point of view. Yeah, he means well. But I was also like, I have the passion for marketing. And when I'm speaking marketing, you can see from the eyes that this lady is doing the thing. Marketing is a passion, and I have that passion. So I said no. Actually, because I was then in school, so I went to my HOD to tell him I want to change to do my accountancy. And my HOD, knowing my performance in school and how I contribute in class, was like, my lady, what are you telling me? Nobody does marketing and regrets. So what do you want to do? Then he started mentioning purchasing, accountancy. No, marketing is the best for you. And so that even added more energy for me to say no. I wouldn't change the marketing. Rather, I would add more. It's business. And so business has other areas that I can do. So then I pursued to do management at UCC. Yes. And I did the management studies knowing that area, at least there is still marketing in it. But that is the mother of marketing, if I should put it that way.
Right.
So that might give me a managerial position. Yeah. So I did that as well, finished, and then still looking for a job, still not getting. I had then completed my national service anyway, of which national service they also promised, oh, Becky, you are good, but at that very moment, there was a cut on employment, and so they couldn't take me on. Then I finished the management at UCC and still looking for a job, not getting. Then I one day met a friend, and so a friend was like, Becky, how far with employment? And I said, I've still not gotten. And to bring in my quest for a job, I didn't do it alone. Most of the times I have a wonderful daddy who was always supporting me. And so I write the letter and then my daddy would take it to the company. Then they would call. A lot of letters I wrote, a lot of interviews I attended. And some, they would even give you the job opportunity. But looking at the remuneration they would give to you, you realize you will end up using the whole salary for transport. And so it's not worth it. Yeah.
You think it was deliberate?
It was not deliberate, but that was what they can afford.
Okay.
You get it? That was what they can afford because they also have a salary structure.
All right.
But where I'm coming from and the taking of transport would virtually take the whole money, and that wouldn't also be economically advisable for me. Then that means I'll be working and then using this. I would not even be able to save and earn a living for myself. Then I met this friend, as I told you, who told me he sees by then I had joined the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations because I heard about it. Went to join the association and the Ghana Federation for Disability Organizations is in so many associations. We have the visual, we have the hearing impaired and the physical. So the physical is called Ghana Society for the Physically Disabled. So I joined that part of it. Started having a mindset change about disability because earlier on I had not accepted that I'm a person with disability. I wouldn't even want you to call me as such. And my friends also saw me more to be just like them because I was equally doing everything like they were doing. Yeah. But when I joined the association, I came to terms with my disability. Came to understand that there are certain barriers I would have to face in life. And these are the things, if I face them, then I can move to the next stage in life. Yeah. So then I was a member of the association. So when the friend I met told me that, why don't you change your course of job search? This friend was in the development industry and he was in the NGO. So he said, you can start from here as internship. Here we do more of advocacy. And from the way you talk about disability, it's advocacy you are doing.
So it's like marketing.
It's like just like marketing, So come join and let's do this advocacy. The interesting thing is this friend's organization was advocating. It's more of a community-based organization, a civil society organization, but they were doing more of advocacy for the community members where they find themselves. So I joined and was doing the advocacy with this friend as an intern. Gradually, a project came and this friend put me on the project to see to its execution, which I did perfectly well. Then the friend later came back with his management and said, Becky, you did administration as well. Okay, now we need an administrator. Can you take up that position? I said yes. So from an internship to project officer to an administrator, I've started climbing the ladder small.
Yeah.
So as an administrator, I started exhibiting the small things I have learned, though the setting is different, but I had also learned on the job. So I started helping with the administrative work. And gradually, we were doing so well. We started winning projects, implementation of projects, doing big projects. We even won something like Care International was one of the funders we got, which we executed projects for them. Then my friend had the opportunity to go to school. And so now the job would now have to be put under my care. Becky,
as executive director?
not yet. As an administrator still,
Okay.
but
Acting.
be acting as the executive director. So I was still, and with a wonderful team. But the interesting thing is, I came as an intern, came to meet people who had really steady development studies. And so that is their thing. So the strategy I saw for myself was to allow myself to learn with them. The other challenge that came with that was, this was the first time they are meeting a person with disability in their team. So I have to change their mindset so that they will teach me more and I can be with them. The team has now come to terms that Becky can articulate better. So Becky should lead the community conversation. Now the community also have their own perception about disability.
Some of which are very strong.
Very, very strong. And some, before you even meet the community, you have to go and meet the chiefs. And our tradition has also got its own understanding when it comes to disability and entering
the palace.
The palace.
Wow.
So these are all things I had to deal with.
So how do you get around it?
Yes. So the first is that now the team believes in me. So I am not the one to speak, but the team will first speak and say, we are here to do A, B, C, D. But our team lead Becky. So they tend to introduce her. Another thing is that because the community were so conversant with my team members, I was new. They were more comfortable with the team members. So when the team member is introducing me as their lead, wow, then it calls for a stir. So then they would now, the conscientization now comes that, wow, this is a person with disability. What has he got to say? Let's listen to what she's got to say.
Okay.
Then I would thank my team for the introduction and then come in with all confidence, talking about what we do, our purpose for coming here. And I make sure I don't leave the place not talking about disability. So after talking to them on our mission for being there, then I bring in part of persons with disability, that I believe there are persons with disabilities in the community. I would love to be an inspiration for them. They are traditional people, all right, and so we have our customs. But they are also people who reason along with you as you present the message. And so the mindset change started coming up, because when the chief has accepted and the chief is leading you to the community, who are you then, the community?
Wow, I feel like clapping.
To say no. Because the chief himself is the one introducing me now to the community for me to speak to them.
Okay.
Because if it is a deba, we give opportunity for the chief to speak. Then we come in. Now we are with the chief. So then you would also have to listen. And as I speak to them, I then started showing my abilities and the way I speak. Now they started coming to us. And when they come, they don't come to look for the team I went with, but rather they come looking for a name, Becky. Then they would present their concern. The organization I worked with is called United Civil Society Organization for National Development. And what they were doing was to serve as a liaison between the community and the duty bearers, the actors in the society. So it was an oil and gas prone area. So the companies there, what are they supposed to do for the community members? We serve as a liaison where we listen to the concerns of the community members. Take it to the companies there for redress. But we are not the one who talk for them. So in the redress, we set up a DEBA. Community members are here. The companies are here. Then the organization, Ocran, is in the middle. So Ocran would say the A, B, C, D are the things the community members are saying. How then do you address it? Then we allow them to also speak. So now it's like a mediator sort of. You
Right.
get it, yes. And anybody who has a concern, now knowing Becky is the one who speaks at such events, will come and say, I'm here to see Becky. So my boss was always like, hey, Becky, gradually you are even taking my organization away from me. But it was good for him anyway, because I was also doing it very well.
You enjoyed it.
I was enjoying it because I love it, Albert, when I see concerns of people being addressed. I love it seeing the right thing done. So these community members are thinking they are due certain things and they are not getting it. And so how then do we get this? And if I stand in for them, for these concerns to be addressed, I feel fulfilled. So I was loving every bit of the work I was doing. Yeah. Hence, they're giving me a project to implement when they got a project and said, no, I should be the project lead for that project.
I want to come to the GFD, but so I look at you and I see somebody who's confident, somebody who's articulate, somebody who's enjoying life. Forgive me, but I suddenly wish every person with disability will be also so confident, so clear about their mission and contribution and their sense of self-worth. Help me to appreciate how you got to be here. What are the enablers that made you this confident person that resonates so much?
Okay, Reverend, one thing we cannot take out is that when you are a person with disability, stigma is there. You cannot take it out. However, I would say my education is one thing that has helped me, because you will meet people, but with the education you have attained and the knowledge gained, the people might have their own perception about disability. But per the things you bring on the table, it takes their mind off your disability and now would want to know the knowledge you have acquired, what they can get from you. So I would say what built my confidence is, one, the education I have gained. Two, GFD is another place I will not take out. GFD built me, my leadership skill, my communication skill, because GFD is a membership organization. And so as a membership organization, they give trainings to its members. And because I'm a member of the organizations in GFD, I happen to enjoy some of the trainings that they were giving. And these trainings built my confidence as a person with disability. Hence my getting this far.
Look at you. So let me find out. If you say it's a membership-based organization, that means that you expect every person with disability to sign up and join, or is it a special category that qualify?
No, everybody. So GFD, as I stated earlier, is an umbrella, the mother of all the disability groups.
How many are they?
And we are talking about 9 organizations and then 3 associate members. So we are 12 in membership in total. We of different impairment: the physical, the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, person with albinism, person with short stature, person with special mothers. They handle children with cerebral palsies. We also have IG, that is those with intellectual disability. We also have those with burn survivors. We also have stammerers. All these come together. Your membership is dependent on you joining one of these organizations I have mentioned. If you are a member of one of these organizations, automatically you are a member of the federation. And so whatever the federation does for its members, you stand to benefit as an individual.
And you're saying that training is one of the core
Yes.
core functions of the federation.
We do capacity building trainings, and we look at advocacies when it comes to policies, because the federation looks at policies that are for persons with disabilities and champions it. So all these are some of the things we do, and its members tend to benefit out of that.
Let me start from the persons themselves who live with disability before I come to what we must do differently. So, as I listen to the list of persons with disability that you mentioned, you mentioned some of the lesser known ones or the lesser acknowledged ones. And my mind goes straight to people who may have those conditions but may not even in any way see themselves as persons with disability. Will that be the case? And if so, what are the implications of a disability that is there, but the persons don't even see it as a disability and therefore do not either seek help or work with the federation or with any of the organizations that support people with that condition?
Okay. So, Reverend, I'll first say disability in itself first starts from you having an impairment.
Okay.
An impairment is a loss of function of a part of the body. And so before you can see yourself as a person with disability, there should first be an impairment, of which I keep saying everybody has an impairment.
Correct.
The disability comes in when there is a barrier which prevents you from performing what you are expected to do equally like a person without disability. And these barriers, we talk about attitude, we talk about communication, we talk about accessibility, we talk about policies and participation. These things, when you encounter and you are not able to do things as expected of you, as opposed to a person without disability, then you become a person with disability. So if you are a person with disability and you don't see yourself as such, it then becomes worrying for you then to say, I'm going to join the association.
Yeah, I understand that.
You get it?
Yes.
So first you would have to see yourself such. I indicated to you earlier that at the initial stage, I didn't see myself as a person with disability. But joining the association, per the trainings and the education they gave to me, I realized that the disability is not an issue after all. You are not the only one living it. People are living it. Your ability to tell yourself that despite A, B, and C, I can still do A, B, and C, provided I have A, B, and C. That is all.
Okay. So you're saying that first there's acceptance, then you see the implications, then you see the enablers. So would it be the case then that those who don't accept are in some kind of denial?
That is it. I wouldn't also say you are in denial, because if you don't accept but then you are okay in doing everything by yourself, that's fine. Because I know people who also says that they see no barrier in their way.
So these people would have an impairment, but you will not call it a disability.
I will not call it a disability, because disability is when the barrier comes to play.
Impairment, barriers, disability. The voice of Becky Nunoo, Disability Inclusion Advisor at the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. Becky is such a great person to know and hang out with, because she helps to appreciate not just the peculiar issues around disability, but even the appropriate nomenclature. Because sometimes our languaging is the problem in itself, because we don't even know what to say, how to say it. And just by what we say, we create another barrier. So when I get to be around Becky, I even learn what is the right language to use so I can make a positive contribution in this conversation. We'll go for a break. When we come back, let's see what must we do differently in the workplace, in the community, in our homes, to fully take advantage of the percentage of our population who are persons living or persons with disability. And the reason is very simple. This conversation is all about exploring untapped resources. So here's my thinking. If somebody with all the skills of Becky did not get to be employed, that would be a huge national resource gone waste. Maybe because she was very strong-willed, very articulate, had good friends and networks, she was able to find her place and pursue her career. But who knows? Is it possible there are several Beckys who haven't found the right person to point them in the right direction and therefore remain untapped as a national resource? Let's talk about that when we come back from the break. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. Let me give you my enterprise advantage tip for today, and intentionally I am talking about understanding exclusions. Since Becky is inclusion advisor, let me deliberately choose this particular tip. So why is it essential to know the exclusions in your insurance policy? Why is it important or essential to know the exclusions in your insurance policy? And the answer is that exclusions outline situations not covered by your policy. Understanding them prevents surprises during a claim. Regularly reviewing these details ensures that you have supplementary coverage where needed. So you don't go and procure a policy with exclusions and don't advise yourself. And then when you make a claim, you realize that, oh, the part you were claiming was not covered by the policy. So review the details of a policy and if need be, get supplementary coverage. This tip is brought to you by the Enterprise Group. The number to call 030-263-4777. Email info@myenterprisegroup.io. Enterprise, your advantage. Let's go for a break. When we come back, is there something we should do differently to raise more confident, articulate Becky Nunoos living out their dream and contributing to national development? Please don't go away.
Hello? Bye.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird is the word. Bird, bird is the word. Well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is the word. Bird, bird is the word.
To consider the implications.
Hello? Everybody knows that the bird is the word.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
This be me, Kobe, aka Kobe Boga, KB for short. And this is my sweetheart, Obahima. Today, I get big surprise for her. Charlie, gone are the days I couldn't spoil my girl. Now I'm engaged to the woman of my dreams. Don't just look at my success. To get here, I had to follow the process. Out of nowhere, I lost my job. But I believe in humble beginnings. I got an idea that I knew I could grow. I started from a small setup, then invested in growing my own coconuts. I then grew my product lines. Now, I sell to many supermarkets in the country. Fellow young Ghanaians, trust the process and keep hope alive.
Take advantage of agribusiness through the Ghana Grows program. Ghana Grows, Hope Day.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this incredible conversation with my friend Becky Nunoo of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations, helping us to appreciate her journey, discovering her own disability, coming to accept it, and how it made her more confident, assertive, the role of education, the role of networks, and everything in between. She's also been trying to help us understand the various members of the Federation of Disability Organizations and how everyone with disability can join to become a member and live out your dreams without the barriers that we normally see. She's explained barriers, impairment, and disability as well. So we are all learning on this journey. Just before I come back to Becky, let me remind you that the Ghana Grows program is an initiative of the Mastercard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Ocean Foundation and other partners. And among other things, we help young people to explore decent and fulfilling jobs and pursue them willingly in the areas of agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET. And our focus areas include or focus particularly on young women and people or persons with disability. And that's in the course of that work that we had the privilege of meeting Becky. And recently at a convening, she took the place by storm and got a standing ovation for her incredible submissions. So it's not a surprise. If you want to find out more about opportunities for in agriculture and ATVET for young people, please call or WhatsApp the Ghana Grows call center on 03082555775, and you'll receive some guidance about opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET. All right, so Becky, let's come back to this conversation and now go down to the root. What is the total population of persons with disability in Ghana, and how do we rewire ourselves to include them in the developmental conversation?
Okay. So my last check I did, I know Ghana, the population is over 32 million. And that of persons with disability is 8% of that. And so we are talking about over 2 million of the population being persons with disabilities.
That's like a whole country.
So we are that many.
What step by step from where you sit as an advisor, what steps must we take to ensure that in our developmental conversation, this very critical national resource is not left out?
Okay. So I will first say that we will first have to look at the mindset. When I talk of the mindset, our culture, you know, the perception we have when it comes to disability is what is making a lot of persons with disability not even come out. We see disability to be a different thing. Somebody who has a disability cannot do anything. Somebody with disability has its own world. And so when people, you know, disability has its own ways of coming. It is anybody's lot at any time. Today you might be going before you realize, it has come to meet you. But if we already have the structures put in place, be it the workplace, be it as a country, be it from the family perspective, because how the family will even accept you, down to the community. Then so when we are starting, we start from the family. The acceptance the family will give to persons with disability goes up to the community, where the community also embraces disability as anybody's lot. Then from the community, it comes to the nation, where policies are put in place so that, because it is in these policies that transcends to work, to school, because the school infrastructure should be accessible, the education materials should be inclusive, So that is the national bit of it, where the policies and the necessary things have to be put in place. Then it goes up to the international level, where we have the UN conventions and you know, from the international level they are doing a lot. It is when we as a nation we ascribe to it, then we can sign on to the international conventions. Then life becomes easy for persons with disability in general, and so no one is left behind, and total development is achieved.
For someone who's saying, I want to help you, I want to do something right, I want to change the way I do things. But when you start and you reach local, family, community, national, international, I feel lost. What can I as a person do differently so that I don't have to wait for international community or government? What can I as a person listening to Becky Nunoo on Joy FM, Joy Prime, watching you online, listening to you, and I'm convinced that what you're saying is real. What can individuals who are listening and watching you do differently?
So as individuals, I would say our attitude. Attitude is how you as an individual, you behave towards persons with disability.
What should we stop doing?
So the stigmatization is one thing.
How does it manifest?
Away. And the stigma is the names we use to address persons with disability. Some tends to be so demeaning. Some tends to demoralize. And so when we change the attitude we have, and when I talk of attitude, I'm also talking about the opportunities we have to give to persons with disability. We should overlook their disability and look at the abilities beyond the disability. And so if a person with disability, if it is maybe a community setting or even in the family, opportunity come and a person with disability comes in, give that person with disability the opportunity to also exhibit what he or she can do.
Compete.
But first, you should also look at what are the things I have to put in place. So if you as an individual, it is a program you are organizing, and let's say a person with physical disability or a person with hearing impairment wants to come to that program you are doing, you will first have to put in place the necessary accessibility measures. If you are coming to have a speech or a talk, the talk might end up people getting a job. If a hearing impaired person is coming, that person equally needs to get that job opportunity. Did you make provision for a sign language interpreter to interpret the information you are sharing, so that equally the person with disability can also hear this information and take advantage of it? So we call it the reasonable accommodation. When you put this reasonable accommodation in place, persons with disability get to enjoy equally as persons without disability. And at that level, we can equally compete and bring to bear what we can all do as individuals. So you as an individual, I would say put in the necessary reasonable accommodation measures. Your attitude should change. Then because it is out of the reasonable accommodation that accessibility comes in. It is out of this reasonable accommodation you put in place that persons with disability can come out confidently and let you know what they can do.
Let's explore the word reasonable. You call it reasonable accommodation. And I know that when it comes to your nomenclature, you are very intentional. Why do you call it reasonable accommodation?
Okay, so reasonable accommodation is a technical term, which is implying the things that when you give to me, gives me the opportunity to be at the same level with a co-person without disability. And so an example is that me as Becky with physical disability, the reasonable accommodation you can put for me at the working place is that maybe the chair I sit on should be such that it does not deprive me because of my disability to be able to do the work as a person without disability. Another example, so if it is a wheelchair that I would need, it is the assistive devices that when I have them, it gives me the level grounds to be able to work effectively. So if it is a hearing impaired person, the necessary assistive devices when it comes to hearing aids, and so I can work independently, is what we term as reasonable accommodation.
A friend who's into advocacy, he's a child with disability, was telling you about something very unique that he had championed for his organization to do. I didn't get his permission, so I'll give you all the details. But he says they supported a photographer to get literally a monopoly in the organization's photography work. And the person is hearing impaired. Is that the correct word?
Sure.
Okay. So just so that you don't get surprised that you're talking to the person and he doesn't understand, he has a t-shirt that says, "Thanks for understanding because I can't hear what you're saying." They created a very interesting t-shirt and he wears it and he says, just as their own statement of saying, this is what we can do, they give all their work to that person. And at least he's guaranteed that as long as he's doing great photography, that organization's work, he is their official photographer. And he was sharing with me how empowered the young man is as a result of this initiative that they are taking. And I love the way you call it reasonable accommodation. You are saying that if I provide a ramp in the building I'm building to allow you to enter, it's not an achievement. It's just a reasonable accommodation of somebody's disability.
Exactly.
You make it sound very beautiful when you explain it. So why are we not getting it right?
We are not getting it right, I should say, because one, the knowledge is not there. For that reason, as an advisor, every opportunity I get, and I say thanks to Springboard Road
Oh, come
Foundation,
cry. Anytime. I'm telling you.
I've gotten this opportunity to make it known to people out there. Because some want to do, but do not know.
No. Okay.
So it is when we make it known, a lot of companies would love to work with persons with disability, but may not know how. So it is when we get platforms like this, then we get to let them know, like you rightfully said, putting the necessary reasonable accommodations in place. Because we have persons with disability with the skill, with the know-how. But because these things are not put there, they come in and you don't get the best of them.
Becky, let's leverage your presence here because I almost feel like a preacher. When you finish preaching, there was an altar call. I mean, I'm just listening and saying there are companies that even in their laws or in their international organizations and in their statutes, they say, please try hard to get a 2% of your staff being persons with disability. If the person is saying, I haven't found, I don't know how to go about it, can they speak to the federation, for instance,
Exactly.
to help locate the right caliber of persons? Because I'm sure that if you put yourself up for employment, there will be a contest for your skills. But for all you know, there may be some 20 other Beckys somewhere who could be great resource, but nobody knows where they are. Does the federation provide kind of I won't call it mediation, but placement or advice fee on these as well?
Yes, the federation does that. And Reverend, most of the time when I hear people saying we are not getting them, I say it is because they have not come to the right people. I just gave you our number. So if you say you are not getting us, then where are the over 2 million
Please
people
give them.
we are talking about?
So you give so can they talk to the federation?
They can talk to the federation because
Should they call? Should they email? Should they
yes,
go to the
when you
website?
come to the federation,
Where?
you know, federation even organizes career fair, where we have a whole list of persons with disabilities who need employment. We have their names, their contact, and when we organize this career fair, this is the time we say employers, come and meet them. Now they have dressed up, now they have tuned their mind, and they are ready to present to you what they can offer. So you come meet them, give them all the questions, and let them also offer all the skills they have and choose from
Your
them.
next career fair, tell us early enough about it, and we'll
Sure.
give you free
We will
publicity.
be so happy because we are even saying more companies should come on board and come and meet them. Because I can also tell you for a fact that it is out of this career fair that most of our people have also gotten the job, because when they came to meet them, they marveled at what they saw. The UN even got some. They even read that we want some persons with disability. They got it and they are doing perfectly well with them. So reach out to the Federation. We are located at Adabraka, at the Accra Rehabilitation Center. That is where the office is. You call on us, and like I said, all the member organizations are under us. We reach out to, depending on the impairment you want, we will get the person. Because we have graduates, we have those who have the skill, those who are doing their own thing that needs even to be upskilled. Come to us, come speak with us, and we'll get persons with disability for you to work with and get the diverse knowledge they will add to your human resource that you have.
Are you also open to partnerships with organizations that say, listen, we like what the Federation is doing, we like to support you, partner with you? Are you also open to
We are
that?
open for partnership. Because this is the opportunity we can, because we want inclusion, and inclusion is about going into the mainstream. We are not speaking about segregation where we say this job is for only persons with disability, this job employs only persons with disability. No, we are saying we want to go into the mainstream. That is inclusion. We get the reasonable accommodation and we are able to work to bring in diverse ideas into what you are already doing. And I can say on authority and facts that persons with disability are the ones with the genius and most fantastic ideas.
My goodness.
That you can get. You try us and you will know that you have always been doing the thing this way. Now with the person with disability comes and gives you another way, because he does her things or his things differently. So you have always been doing it this way. A person with disability comes and with his or her disability tells you, I do it differently this way. So try it this way and see how it works. And that might even be the most convenient.
Do you have success stories of people who have, apart from yourself, people have integrated into jobs and are doing fantastic stuff that you like to want to?
I would have said myself first, but since you said apart
That's
from
why
myself,
you're a big star. Everybody knows you.
I would have said myself, but since you said apart from me, yes, we have success stories. And most of these comes from the career fair we do. That is where we get to showcase them. There is one guy who had the qualification and everything, went for this career fair that we organized, and then a company came. I wouldn't want to mention the company. Came, saw the CV, paid the interview he had with the person, took the person on board for internship. Now that person is the CEO of that organization.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
yes.
that's a significant rise.
Is a CEO of that organization. And not only that, recently we organized another career fair, and somebody got a job offer. So there are countless, and we are still doing it. So if you say, is there a success story? The story is unending. It is still being told. Come join us and you would also be part of the success story.
Before we wrap up, I'd like you to speak to the person with disability who is operating way below their potential, and use your story as an inspiration for them and say, folks, I probably was also like you, but this is what I did differently. And then also maybe through a challenge to all of us, duty bearers, the public. This is your platform. The whole world is listening to you. Look into this camera and tell us what you if the whole world was listening and you were state of the nation, Becky Nunoo, tell them what you would like them to hear.
So my first acknowledgement I will make, or admonishment I will make, is that my fellow persons with disability, if you really want to make a change or change the mindset of persons with disability, you should be the carrier of the message. if you are a person with disability and you want the world out there to see persons with disability as people who can bring something on the table, first bring something on the table yourself. Then it will transform the world. I would admonish them that as they carry the message themselves, being what they want people to see them to be, then people would also change their mindset and perception about how they should relate with you. Gone are the days when we said persons with disability should stay by the roadside. Persons with disability, it is a medical condition. Now we are saying disability, the models as people have when it comes to disability has changed. It has evolved. Disability is evolving. Formerly, we said it is more of a sickness. It is more of charity. Now we are saying it is a right. When you are a person with disability, you have a right. And as much as you have a right, you also have a responsibility. And it is your responsibility to live up to the abilities God has invested in you. It is your responsibility to prove to the world out there that it is not the disability they should see, but more of the abilities that God has invested in you, so as to bring to the glory of God what He has for His people. The next is the policy makers. I will say that policies should be made to favor persons with disability. When I say favor, I am saying that you should remember the needs of persons with disability when the policies are being drafted. If it is about women policies you are making, there are equally women with disabilities. And so you remember and you make policies that would favor as well, so that they will not be left behind. If it is about education, let's look at how inclusive the education can be, so that persons with disability can enjoy. If it's about health, how inclusive are the health services provided, so that persons with disability can enjoy, so that at the end of the day, we say it is total development you are doing for the people of Ghana. This is the message I have.
What? I believe you. I believe you. You're speaking for 2 million people, and that's a very significant proportion of our population. All I can say to you is thank you so much, Becky Nunoo. You always have done this with distinction, and you continue to do it so well. So you are the inclusion advisor at the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations, and you've joined us today on Springboard to talk about the untold story of persons with disability, especially as we look at resources that we have not tapped into as a nation. And it's our hope, our desire, our prayer that as a result of conversations like this, we will empower more of the 2 million people that we sometimes leave behind to join in the effort at building a great and a strong nation. Thank you very much, Becky. And thanks to everyone working in the Federation. Right. So once again, this has been another interesting, inspiring, and very educative edition of Springboard, your virtual university. Let's have this conversation online as we try to explore how do we bring the full complement of the 2 million people into the national developmental conversation. What is your own idea about how to increase inclusion? Share a story you know about somebody who has overcome the barriers to their disability and is doing great things. And as we do, not just 1, 2 people, but all of us having this conversation, we will see a lot of progress in our quest to build a great and a strong nation. This has been Springboard, your virtual university, brought to you by the Springboard Racial Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. My name is Albert Ocran, saying till we come away again next week, God bless you, and God bless you.
Amen.
turn